The Muslim community is extremely quiet right now, and I wonder why that is. You know, they say never paint an entire community with a broad brush, so I'm not going to do that because I know all of you good Muslim folk are going to speak out against the rape jihad being committed by the bad actors among you. But I wonder how long it would take you to speak out if a report had been released showing that 250,000 Muslim girls had been raped by British Christian men. I bet your government would be speaking out already too. You know, yesterday I posted a viral video of a speech from the House of Lords in the United Kingdom where Lord Malcolm Pearson reads a report indicating that 250,000 young white British girls had been raped this century alone by predominantly Muslim men. But there's something in the video that I don't think anyone picked up on. There's an audible gasp during the speech that can be heard from those attending in the House. So I want you all to listen again and pay close attention to when that occurs.
But accept that if we extrapolate nationally the Jay report on Rotherham and other reports on Telford and Oxford, there appear to have been upwards of 250,000 young white girls raped in this century, very largely by Muslim men. And given these girls are usually raped several times a day for years.
So did you catch that? They weren't shocked or aghast or seemingly too concerned when they heard that scores of innocent young white British girls had been violated, but when the culprits are named, Muslims, that's when the chamber reacts. How dare he call out the Muslims who committed such atrocities? This reaction is a perfect example of why all of these rapes in Great Britain have been hidden from the public for decades. The British government would rather that young white girls be violated with no recourse than for their preferred demographic to be offended by their own guilt. I mean, it's truly shocking what has become of what was once the greatest Christian empire in all of the world. So, who knew and when did they know it? You know, the Muslim mayor of Britain is responsible for overseeing all of the law enforcement administration in the Greater London area. So whether he was aware of the cover-up of this rape jihad or not, he certainly is responsible for a large portion of these crimes going unnoticed. But, I mean, let's be honest, is it really possible that the mayor of London couldn't have known about any of this? I mean, he has been in office since 2016, which would cover a giant swath of these crimes. And if you want to know why he would cover it up, look no further than his Islamic doctrine and a little thing called taqiyya that allows Muslims to lie for each other without committing sin as long as it furthers their faith. And then to add further insult to the British people, we have King Charles, who just bestowed a knighthood upon this mayor, Sadiq Khan, giving him the royal seal of approval. But now, here's where it gets truly diabolical. In Great Britain, serious crimes like murder and rape require the Crown Prosecution Service's approval in order for the police to charge suspects of these crimes. And guess who was the head of this agency during much of the time that these rapists were allowed to get away with violating and torturing all of these young girls? None other than the current Prime Minister, Keir Starmer. But what might shock you even more to know is that while British courts are letting rapists go free without so much as a slap on the wrist, they're actually locking up the fathers of these girls for showing up to the houses of these Muslim grooming gangs to rescue their daughters.
I'd got a phone call to say where Elizabeth was. So I come across, because I lived on next estate, I come across, banged on the door. I saw a movement in curtain. Then within probably 5 minutes, a police car arrived. They asked me what I was doing. I told them. They arrested me.
I mean, the whole thing is absolutely sickening, and it's nothing less than rape holocaust reminiscent of, the Nazi Germans who hid their Jewish genocide from the world in much the same fashion. Now, there is one man, and many of his supporters, who have been sounding the alarm on Muslim grooming gangs for nearly 20 years. I mean, he's risked his safety, his wealth, and his freedom to save Britain's daughters. His name is Tommy Robinson, and for all that time, the media, in conjunction with the government, had many of you convinced that he was just a lying racist Islamophobe. Well, what do you think about him now? Because if you're one of those who believed it, you really owe him a huge apology because, of course, you'll have to wait now because he's sitting in a prison cell locked away for the civil crime of contempt for 9 months because he refused to hide the truth from the British people. And on top of that, the prison is forcing anyone in the media or social media to sign a gag order if they come to visit him in prison because they don't want any of us finding out just how poorly they're treating him while he's there.